All right, should be up and running here. We're gonna have the close in about 3 minutes, so we'll finish up here and see where the market closes. It's getting a pretty decent bounce here this last 30 minutes or so. So we'll definitely keep an eye on where the Qs and SPY end up. It's probably not gonna make any difference on what we're looking at for tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for May 2nd, 2022. Q's up 1.7 here, SPY up about 0.5%, and then IWM up almost 1%. All right. Coming into today, bearish on the Qs and SPY, but aware that we are multiple bars down here on the weekly. Basically, the weekly sell setup has gotten to target. All right. And so what I said coming into today was that if we gap down a good amount, that we may get bought initially and then sell off into the afternoon. If we gap up, probably expect us to get sold into the afternoon. So what we ended up doing here is opening pretty flat on the Qs and SPY, and then we kind of got sold some more, and then now we're going to close up a little bit. Okay, so why I'm saying that, it doesn't change much for our bias going into tomorrow. I previously outlined a couple scenarios with the bearish bias. If we gap down a lot, we may get bought. If we gap up, we may hold and then sell off later. It's just because, we're in this hourly downtrend. Okay, and within this hourly downtrend, we don't have a nice multi-bar pullback. We don't have a pivot to work with. Now we have rallied to the declining 20 MA. That is a spot. That is a good place to look for, typically for some retracement and some resistance to step in this downtrend. But because of the way that we did it, I wouldn't be surprised if we move up a little bit more tomorrow initially. All right, and then if we create the pivot, we can look to roll over in the afternoon. But right now, we don't have any pivot point to work with to use as, okay, if we break above this, then we are no longer bearish. I guess you could go all the way here. Here's the multi-bar run up, counter a rally. We do have that. So but you can see that's what, $10 away on the Qs. So I'm kind of expecting that's not going to happen, but I guess it could. We could get a decent gap up and then run through it. Probably unlikely that we gap past it, but you never know. So I guess for now, that's the pivot point. I don't think it's like all that maybe relevant, but 330 basically. If we get above 330, we'd no longer be bearish. What I'm anticipating is we'll get some kind of pivot below that in the next couple days. All right, and then whether or not we follow through on that pivot and come back to today's lows, or we fail on it, right, that'll determine our next bias. But right now, we're going to stay bearish. Okay? All right. Let's get into the plays from today. So Mondays, as you know, I do the open, so you get to start off the week trading with me. And I like trading Mondays. For me, it's a way to kind of shake off the cobwebs right at the beginning of the week. We've had, the last 2 days, we've been away from the market. Doing the open, getting everything ready, making sure that, ready to trade and trade with you guys is something that I think keeps me from, starting off slowly into the week or kind of coming in a little bit too rusty. So it kind of forces me to kind of get started the right way. But still, Mondays, these last couple weeks, and it's pretty typical for Mondays, there wasn't a lot to do. There were some things to do, so we'll definitely go over them. My favorite gap up today was the HTH. You can see we were gapping over resistance. We'd recently had a gap down that got sold. So gapping over resistance, that was the first play. And I was in this half the day, basically. Played the initial breakout right in here. Okay, over the high of the day. Triggered right there, and then it didn't go anywhere. It was almost like it was a buyout. It didn't go anywhere. And then I guess it's closing here, basically break even. But for me, I did get tagged out for a small loss on this. I raised the stop to here. Yeah, that was off of the hourly. So I was in it for the first half of the day. Lost a third of an R there, which is fine. Just trailed eventually. And with the market popping, this got a little bit of a boost. So yeah, this I was in it for a while. That was fine. I like the gap. I like the setup. The 1 minute base breakout I thought was good. And then I also played this AFI. AFI, you can see this gap down here today. And I played this as a short. All right, played it in the morning. Similarly, the other was a 1 minute base breakout. I just played this as a base breakdown here. And this ended up working a lot better. I think this almost reached 4 Rs. Took some on this drop. Took another little portion over that 1 minute. And then trailed down to the runner. Okay, when the volume came in. And then again on the last piece here. This was trailed off the hourly, which trailed out over that bar. Okay, so this was nice. This was a good play. A good follow through there on the AFI because it was only a 6 cent stop. And even 6 cents, I thought, for me doing a 6 cent stop, like 50, I did 52 by 58. I thought was even a little bit too big. You really could have done like a 3 or 4 cent stop, in which case this play would have been even bigger. So, you know, sometimes you look at these things and if it's, yes, you know, if it's a 50 cent stop, it can only drop 50 cents, or 50 cent stock, it can only drop 50 cents. But if this had dropped 50 cents with an 8 cent stop, right, that would be a huge play, six Rs. So you don't, you know, if it gives you a tight stop. Now, sometimes you'll look at some of these low price stocks like 30, 40 cents, and then if the stop size is like 20, 25, or they're really spready, like if they have like 3-4 cents spread, you know, then those, okay, fine. Those are not worth playing because you factor in how much can they drop, what's the size of the stop, what's the spread. If the size of the stop is big and the spread is big, I can't get that much share size. So then, and they make them not worth playing. In this case, the spread was always less than 1 penny, and the stop was a nice tight base there. It could have got it even earlier. I know some people did. Played it on the initial kind of break of the opening range. And once it set up this base breakdown, that was where I played it. So that was pretty decent there on the AFI. Nice gap, nice play overall. And that was it. I mean, there were definitely some other things. If you got involved in the red box, that moved a lot today, right? That took off. There were some other things I found, like the GFF was not bad. Decent gap up. Closed really strong here. Had a 15-minute buy set up there. That worked out pretty well. I think the market helped some, but still, that was a pretty decent play. All right, let's see how the Qs and SPY closed up here. So yeah, right at the highs on the Qs and SPY. Tomorrow, I mean, we're still bearish, but like I said, because we're starting with this igniting bar, we may get a little bit more than 50% retracement of this last hourly sell-off. So, you know, we'll see. We'll need to get some kind of pivot tomorrow, and then that'll kind of inform us in the days ahead and the rest of the week. So kind of a nice start to the week here to kind of get warmed up and ready for what I think will be a pretty busy week. All right. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening.